Well, I learned it all from Mario. I mean, he's the entrepreneur. He put the E in entrepreneur.
I don't even know how to spell it.
I know, me neither, but you know, I are one. Well, Shreveport is a small town. You know, we're a big city, but we're a small town mentality sometimes. You know, people talk. You know, people ask those, what for? It's like Mario was asked if direct about dollars for this other homeowner association. Wait a minute, it's a homeowner association.
Which one?
And the reason was not affordable. It was not given to us. You know, other than, yeah, they do this, well, everybody has to do it. Something Mario, you're going to have to help me with this. And then I got the sheet that says, oh, this is for the music festival. And so I already got to get all that.
I got proof.
You know. Yeah, but see, I'm thinking, hey, don't set a dangerous precedent here where I've given the homeowner association $20,000 or whatever, and then my fraud neighborhood association. You know, then we get into that entitlement stuff. Well, I'd start one up just to get $20,000. The Jim Califair Homeowners Association. Where's the home? It's my house. You know, but I'm you know, so let's not set a precedent. All right, give me a heart. It's a privilege. Thank you for coming up. I appreciate it. LBJ, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks.
All right. A confirmation. Oh, no, I forgot.
No, thank you.
I was going to say, I better not do that too loud. People are going to be looking up here. Oh, that ain't nothing. I accuse my daughter of nesting wherever she is. It's a nest. You know, whether it's in the car, in a hotel room, in her room, it's a nest. She's a nester. So try not to be terribly. I turn into
Does your daughter have a family yet, or is she still a young gal?
Oh no, she's 17, soon to be 18 in July. Stop it. Don't even. She's, interesting enough, she shared this with her mom. She is afraid of adults. She's a junior, you know. So she's got all this stuff going on in her head. And I think she knows she's turning 18. She thinks that she's out of her own. You can stay until you're 28 as far as I'm concerned. You know, we're kind of looking at well, I'm going to
We're going to take a quick picture of these guys so they can get out of here.
sure. Yeah, well, come on. We're coming on down. Yeah, you too, John. No, sit down.
Go between Paul and Kristen. All right, already one. Mission real. All right. If you all could squeeze in this a little more, you know, like you like each other. All right. Okay, ready?
Suck it up.
One, two, three. Great. Good. Thank you all. Yeah, all right. Touch your faces. Shake hands.
right. You got to have a little lime on it. That's right. Wash your hands. Don't touch your eyes. It's pretty simple.
Of course, I touched my eyes today, like a few minutes ago.
All right. Everybody ready?
Don't touch my eyes. That's the story of my life.
Boy, camp's out here.
Oh, sorry guys. We're gonna call this Caddo Parish Commission meeting, regular meeting agenda to order. It's gonna be March 5th, 2020 at 3:35 p.m. Roll call, please.
Hopkins, Johnson, Jackson, Young, Burrell, Cawthorn, Gage Watts, Taliaferro,
Here, ma'am.
Atkins, Chavez,
Here, ma'am.
Lazarus,
Here.
Epperson. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk. If you would all silence your cell phones and stand, we're going to have our invocation by Commissioner Burrell and our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Hopkins.
Stand, please. Lord, we want to thank you for this day. Thank you for all that you've done and all of your mercy. Bless us, O Lord, that we may do the things right for our people and with the right mind. And we owe you all the glory. All these blessings in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Those active military and veterans can give a brow salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioners. Do I have any agenda additions?
You should have one.
Should have one.
Is that when
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to add to the agenda the trip to Birmingham, Alabama for the high-speed, I-20 high-speed rail corridor.
Okay. Commissioners, we're going to expand the agenda to vote on expanding the agenda to, right, we have to vote to expand the agenda to allow the agenda addition. Please vote.
You gotta open it up for public comment.
Oh, that's right,
Public
guys.
comment.
Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of expanding the agenda to add this agenda addition? Right, and this is always a dilemma that I think we should post this.
Yeah.
But what the agenda addition is Commissioner Burrell would like to come to the commission just to ask the permission to fund the travel for him to go look at a high-speed rail to bring it back to Caddo Parish in lieu of the finances that were set aside for him to go to Washington, D.C. for the National Association of County Officials meeting that he did not attend last week. So if anybody would like to speak in favor of that, please raise your hand. If anybody would like to speak against that, please raise your hand. I declare public comments closed. Ms. Nations, please put the vote up. Remember, yes is to expand the agenda to add. That must pass unanimous, and it does. All right, we have the expanded agenda, and now we vote on the actual, no, we don't, do we have to add it? I think it's added, right?
And you added.
It'll get added under new business.
Commissioner Jackson, did you have a special resolution?
Yes, Mr. President, at this time, I'd like to move that we expand the agenda to add special recognition and appreciation for the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity at this time, to expand the agenda for that.
Second that. Would you like to speak on that motion?
No, I'm good.
All right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for that? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak against that? See no public comments, declare that closed. Commissioners, please vote. Expanding the agenda to add Commissioner Jackson. And that passes unanimously.
It's up now, it's up.
All right, moving along.
Now we move to citizens' comments.
All right, citizens who wish to address the commission on matters relative to public hearings, items listed on the agenda only will be limited to a cumulative total of 15 minutes each. For or against an issue, those who wish to speak or make a presentation are asked to select their speakers and address the points they wish considered with this limitation in mind. Citizens, please fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and return to the president or the clerk of commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes. First card I have is Mr. Ken Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ken Kraft, 157 Archer Avenue, Shreveport, 71105. 3 things quickly. The Census Bureau begins its big hiring Saturday, day after tomorrow, March 7th. 2,500 plus enumerators, not too late. Veterans, 5 BA points. Apply at 2020census.gov/jobs. Do it and help us do the census. Number 2, I want to thank this body, and I don't think I'm incorrect, but you guys have never walked out and embarrassed the community like happened to the Shreveport City Council. Oh, y'all did? Well, I apologize. Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, let's not do it again. But you've always published an agenda and had citizens' comments. In the recent council,
A point of order, that was the previous commission, it's a new body, so I can honestly
This
say,
group
yes,
has
this
not-
body has never walked out.
until you adjourn. But seriously, what happened in Tennessee, and I have a young niece who's safe and her husband, and they were not too far from the destruction. But I really like the idea of the Public Safety Committee bringing up at its next meeting, whenever that might be, storm sirens in Caddo Parish, such as went off in Nashville and in Putnam County and in Elm Springs and in Columbia when the warning went out. My son hears them every Wednesday at noon in Omaha for a minute. It's reassuring to the citizens to hear that the storm sirens are working. The silent notification method doesn't work. The 20 campers who drowned at Albert Pike State Park on June 11th of 2010 were warned by text in the middle of the night when they slept and they died. Let's get serious the next time we ask people to vote. Or I know we have so many needs, but public safety, protecting the citizens, has to be number one above all. So let's try to get storm sirens, because we have tornadoes come through here from time to time. And I want to be notified by blasting me awake at 2:30 in the morning. I want to hear that sucker go off like I heard in the 50s, that the threatened Soviet nuclear attack, which thank God never happened, but we used to hear those. You'd drop on our knees and get in a fetal position in grammar school. That's really important. I know they're not cheap, but they're lifesavers. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Kraft. I know Commissioner Watts is watching, and she will be very proud to hear about the storm sirens. She's been fighting for those for a while. I have Jack, is this Martin?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Martin?
My name is Jack Martin. I live at 9715 Bramblewood Way in Bethany, Louisiana. I thank my representative, Mr. Epperson, but he's not here right now. I do thank the rest of the board for being here. I'm here in concern of the UDC. I just recently found out about it. As a father, a husband, a grandfather, I care about the future of this community very much. I have a lot of stake in this community. And it's come to the attention that the hard work and dedication of the Cattle Alliance for Freedom, that we're under attack. In my opinion, they've become the Paul Revere of our day in our community. But instead of screaming the redcoats are coming, they're screaming the socialists are coming. This whole agenda is socialist driven. And I'm asking for the board to completely reject every bit of it. You should not be controlling our lives in our homes and around our homes. We're more concerned of you controlling how the condition of the roads are. What kind of business is allowed to get into this city because our roads are trash? Look at the stadium here, full of bats. Why are we not taking care of that? Why are you coming after us to control our homes? You took an oath of office. I ask you to stand up for the oath of office and protect us as citizens. I ask that you repeal and reject the UDC 100%. I ask that you follow the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and go to God and ask Him if this is what He would want from you. If not, us citizens are going to elect new representatives that will take care of this. We are uniting. We are concerned. I do thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Sharon Flournoy.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm excited to be here again. My name is Sharon Flournoy, and I'm here to support my friend Laura Newbert. I've been here twice, and I hope that you guys will really consider her today as you vote. I think she'll be a wonderful voice for the parish. I think that we're in a place in our nation where we're wanting to see growth, even listening to the young man who came before me. And I think people, the citizens, are more serious now because they don't want it to be the norm of political votes based on I do for you, you do for me, but what about the people and why we sit you right here in these seats. So I really hope that you consider her. I think her background speaks for itself, her education, her experience, and I think you'll be glad you did because I think you'll see change. I think she'll bring much to the MPC, so please consider her today, and I hope that it will be a swell victory for her. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Flournoy. Ms. Jacques Brooks. Mr. Jacques Brooks.
Good afternoon. My name is Jacques Brooks. I've been here on several occasions also with Ms. Newbert. I'm not going to be up here long because I've shared my heart on how I feel Ms. Newbert will be an asset to this board that the committee you're putting together, which she would take that spot. I've known Ms. Newbert for 20 or so years, and as a friend, she's the epitome of what you want, but even more so that really stands out more than that is her business savviness. When they had the calamities with all the flooding and stuff, she loaded up a 18-wheeler truck with toiletries and well-needed things for these people that were suffering, and without hesitation got volunteers and went out using her own capital and her company as a headquarter base and stuff. And I just think those are the type of things that you want to look at, people that care about as community as a whole and that were wanting the best for the people, and not so much as what's going to just benefit a few people or whatever. But just speaking from the heart, I think that when you make your consideration today, you would check your heart with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Laura Newbert.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for having me here again. Thank you for considering me for this appointment. I didn't come today with a prepared statement, but I did want to just kind of go over some bullet points real quick. As I was thinking about this appointment and the commitment to it and the dedication that would be required, and taking into consideration what's going on now with the UDC and the Alliance, this is going to be a very important position. And I'm aware of that, and I think it's going to take a lot of dedication and a lot of work from people that are on the MPC, as well as those that are in the MPC offices, such as Mr. Clark and his staff. I am willing to roll up my sleeves, go to work with these people, and do whatever needs to be done to help this area, Shreveport, Caddo. I have lived here consecutively for 42 years. I've educated myself. I built my business here. I'm in the city limits of Shreveport on Greenwood Road. I live in the parish. I've lived in the parish now for 26 years, and I am governed by the UDC at my home. That, when you take all that into consideration, the fact that I'm a general contractor, that I have more than enough education for this position, I'm asking for all of that to be taken into consideration today in your vote, and to please know that I'm very serious about serving in this capacity and helping this commission and the people of Caddo and Shreveport any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Newbert. I believe it's Terad Ghani Lockett. Sorry, sir, if I messed that up.
It's all right. It is Taragani Lockett. All right, thank you. I'm Taragani Lockett. I'm a local minority business owner in this city. I operate Operation Green Recycling, LLC, and I am speaking on the behalf on the subject of the Minority Supply Institute and the Strategic Action Council. And I just want to express their importance in this community because they help me to reach different levels that I wouldn't be able to reach without them. I was able to connect with bigger companies like Margaritaville, and they were helping me to put business plans and so on together. So I just want to say that the Minority Supply Institute and the Strategic Action Council is very needed in this community. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Lockett. I see no other citizens' comments. Move on to visitors.
We have no visitors. We move to adopt regular session minutes.
Mr. President, can I make a motion to suspend the rules and go to special resolutions?
Absolutely.
It's next on the.
Oh, it's next. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was before citizens' comment. Okay.
All right, so we're going to adopt the regular session minutes from February 20th, 2020.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right, a motion from Commissioner Jackson, second by Commissioner Hopkins. I see no one on the board. Please vote. Passes 9 with 3 out of the chamber.
Now we move to special resolution. Special resolution of recognition to Susan Moffitt for 2020 Time Dealer of the Year Award.
So moved.
Second.
Guys, we're gonna do this at their location, so we'll just pass it. We'll save reading it for another day, but we'll move on to let's vote. Please vote. That passes unanimously with 3 out of the chamber.
Now we move to special resolution of welcome and recognition to Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity.
Everybody please stand.
Thank you, Mr. President and fellow commissioners. I have a resolution here that I would like to have read by the secretary, but before I do that, I wanted to give you a little bit of background here. We are here today to recognize Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, which is the fraternity that I belong to, and you see some of my brothers who are behind us. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was founded in 1906 at Cornell University at Ithaca, New York. It's the oldest Black Greek collegiate organization in the nation. It's proud to include many of the members that have been leaders in this community as well as in the nation, such as W.E.B. Du Bois, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, late Atlanta Mayor Maynard Jackson, to name a few, Olympic runner Jesse Owens, and many, many more. Some of the local leaders who is a part of our organization has been Dr. Edward Jones, Dr. Pendleton, Dr. C.O. Simpkins, and many others, plus of some of my brothers here. I want to recognize them. First of all, I would like to recognize my good brother, Brother Maurice Gibson, the past Vice President of the Southwest Regional Convention, which is being held here starting today. We'll go through Saturday. Brother Maurice, would you come up here with me, please? Brother Russell Williams, who is the Southwest Regional Assistant Vice President, if he would come up. And I have with me also today Brother Doc Voorhees. Raise your hand, Doc. Brother Robert Moore, as well as Alamont Bates and Taylor Jameson, who are also part of our chapter here in Shreveport, the Delta Upsilon Lambda chapter here in Shreveport. So our motto is manly deeds, scholarship, and love for all mankind. Ms. Nation, if you would you read the resolution?
Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is pleased to acknowledge events of significance that occur in the community and to recognize the organizations and individuals who are now and for a long time have been in the forefront of positive and worthy activities and deeds that accrue to the benefit of all. And whereas such an organization is the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, who will be hosting their 74th Southwestern Regional Convention in Caddo Parish at the Shreveport Convention Center. And whereas Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity was founded on December 4th, 1906 at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. And whereas the fraternity initially served as a study and support group for minority students. And whereas as the fraternity grew, it has continued to strive and stress academic excellence among its members, as well as recognizing the need of effective advocacy and social change that results in equality for all citizens. And whereas Alpha Phi Alpha has long stood at the forefront of the African American community's fight for civil rights through leaders such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Thurgood Marshall, and many others. And whereas Alpha Phi Alpha's fraternity objectives are to stimulate the ambition of its members, to prepare them for the greatest usefulness in the causes of humanity, freedom, and dignity of the individual, to encourage the highest and noblest form of manhood, and to aid downtrodden humanity in its efforts to achieve high social, economic, and intellectual status. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission in legal session convened that it does hereby welcome and recognize March 5th through the 8th, 2020 as Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Weekend in Caddo Parish, Louisiana, entreating all citizens of the parish to join in applauding this observance and in welcoming and honoring Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity and its members.
You may be seated.
Hold on a second. Thank you, Ms. Nation. Mr. President? Yeah, I wanted to see if we have a photographer. You guys, if you would come up. While they're coming up, I wanted to also say we really thank the Parish Commission for supporting our program. You all was a sponsor in our program. I want to thank Commissioner Stephen Jackson for thinking about doing this, because I didn't know the protocol, and so he chipped in, which is good. I'll take this and finish that. Mr. Chairman, would you like to come?
I don't know. I could.
I think he's coming
Don't
over.
worry, don't worry. They won't
Coming over.
confuse you with the rest of us.
I come over.
Yeah, he's shorter.
Who knows? He might want to join. You never know.
Got room for Latinos?
Look, I was going to say that although it's the oldest black Greek collegiate organization, we are an integrated organization. Okay. We want to also announce to the commission that we do invite you down, because you all were one of our major sponsors, and there are a number of different activities that you can attend. We just need to know who wants to come down, and we will provide the tickets for you. We have on Friday night a step show, which would be something very interesting. You probably have never seen one before, but I think you would enjoy it. On Saturday night, we have this Black and Gold pageant. On Saturday, March 7th, from 12:30 to 2 p.m., we have the collegiate luncheon. So if we just let us know who would like to attend, you're very much welcome. And I believe we have about how many brothers here?
About a little over 1,000.
A little over 1,000.
Plus their families.
Plus their families down at the
Civic Center, Convention Center.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I just didn't know, thank you, Commissioner Burrell, thank you, Mr. President. I didn't know if anybody from the regional wanted to address or say anything. We're glad to have you in town.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, members of the commission, we are certainly happy to be here in Shreveport today. As a native Louisiana, I'm from Faraday, Louisiana, so Shreveport is considered the big city for us down in Faraday. I'm certainly happy to be back here along with the 1,000+ members of Alpha Phi Alpha that are going to convene in Shreveport this weekend to celebrate the best of Alpha Phi Alpha, not only academic excellence, but more importantly, service to our community. And this morning, we partnered with the Caddo Parish school system, and we had over 300 young men come to the convention center where we had a series of academic preparedness presentation. So we taught them how to tie a tie. We taught them how to get prepared for college. We even had quite a few schools on hand to admit those who are ready to go to college. So it's been a phenomenal time already. We'll be here through Sunday, and most importantly, Mr. President, our members will leave money behind in Caddo Parish. So we knew that that was going to be important to make sure that we left a couple of things behind so that the City Council can continue to do its work. So again, thank you for being here. We are definitely appreciative of all the outpouring and support that this commission has given us, and we look forward to having a great time in what we would call Port City. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. I see no other commissioners on the board.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Please vote.
We didn't have a motion nor a second.
Motion passes by acclamation.
Yeah.
All right.
Motion. Yeah, I think I made.
Nobody motioned.
Oh, I moved. Second.
All right, that passes by acclamation.
Now we move to communiques and committee reports. I need to read aloud a notice. Notice is hereby given that at its meeting to be held on Thursday, April 9th, 2020 at 3:30 p.m. at Government Plaza Building, 505 Travis Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, the Caddo Parish Commission plans to consider adopting a resolution ordering and calling an election to be held in Caddo Parish to authorize the renewal of ad valorem taxes.
Commissioner Jackson, is that left over?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to note, I think the young man left who spoke that, just for the record, the Minority Supply Institute is not going anywhere. I want to put that out there because I know things try to, in this town, we like to manufacture the narrative. And so just wanted to make that mention that the Minority Supply Institute is not going anywhere, and we haven't proposed that it would go anywhere. The other thing that I also wanted to ask administration, if you could have Ms. Mills, Anita Mills, and this is not something that I need immediate turnaround on, but Ms. Anita Mills could look through our NGO economic development funding that we do and provide a number of, one, the organizations, but two, the dollar amounts that we are spending on things like rental of the convention center, paying for Shreveport police security for events and things like that, hangar rent at the downtown airport. Those are kind of, and if we could put a dollar amount and a number to that, again, there's no rush on it, but I would like to know, I would like to have that information to be able to quantify some things for a meeting that I think we're supposed to be having with them about, some other obligations that we have with them as well. So when we sit down and have that conversation with the city council, so that we can have that discussion. Because I know a lot of the organizations, for instance, with the Alpha Phi Alpha, I think a lot of that will probably go toward the rental of offsetting the cost of renting the convention center for the weekend. So I'd be interested in having that information. The other thing is if somebody could follow up about our Reinvest Caddo meeting. I was leaning on administration to give me a date. Seems like the dates I was putting up seemed to conflict, and so.
No, sir, we have a date.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
gonna discuss with you today.
Okay. And I think The other thing is House Bill 697. I would encourage any and all, particularly the city of Shreveport, to take a read of it. It is interesting, and I assume there's going to be a lot of conversation about it. If I had my way, I would approve it today, but I don't necessarily know that the city of Shreveport would be okay with it in its current posture. So I just want to drop that out there. I know that we didn't have our legislative luncheon, but I know we'll try to engage our legislators as we go down for the legislative session day that they have for the police jury. And I don't know if I got a chance to say, we did a thanks to the staff and to everybody who helped coordinate activities throughout, and the Bossier Police Jury throughout the Police Jury Association Day that was here. I mean, the Police Jury Convention that was here. So thank you. That's it for me right now, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner. Parliamentarian Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to let my colleagues know, especially those colleagues on the Economic Development Committee, that we do have another Economic Development Committee meeting scheduled for Monday, March 16th at 2 p.m. The agenda items are, I think Southern is coming back with a request, and then there's an ITEP request also on the agenda. That's it, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice President Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today we did have an Appropriations Committee meeting. Basically, we discussed the Child Care Assistance Program, and we still got some more information that we've gathered on that to find out if we want to fund it, propose funding for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hopkins.
I'm sick, so I'm sick, okay?
He said he was sick, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, he was stating in the last committee meeting, I'm sorry, Commissioner Hopkins, he just stated that we were looking at an NGO that came forth for early childhood education, and that we would be gathering more information. Commissioner Hopkins.
Just wanted to let everyone know we had my meeting Tuesday night in District 1. I think I got what I needed out of it. There was a good crowd, approximately I would say 200 people, maybe a few more. It was a good meeting. Like all meetings, it comes to a point where you move to being productive and begin to downward into counterproductive, so we stopped. But I think the staff, MPC staff was there, and I thank them. I think they got what they needed out of it. I got what I needed out of it. And Commissioner Jackson, I duly note your stance on 697. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner. No, go ahead. You still have the floor.
House Bill 697 is the introduction from Representative McCormick that takes the Caddo Parish Commission out of the MPC.
And includes funding it, right?
That's all funding and all.
Commissioner Jackson.
And I don't know how I forgot, but NACO Legislative Conference got a chance to travel up for that this past weekend. I was there for the business meeting. The national president has appointed me to 2 subcommittees. One is the Human Service and Education Committee, and in there locally we sent forth 2 policy resolutions that talk about TANF funding, and that is funding that primarily supports Caddo Community Action Agency and the programs that they provide. One of the things that they wanted to focus on was mental health and trying to identify mental health in early childhood ages. And so the committee voted, I want to say there were 2 people who objected to it, but overwhelmingly proposed moving that forward to the national convention. And so at our national convention, we'll take up those resolutions or those policy positions. The other thing was at our health care. I'm also on the health care steering committee. We believe we are making progress as it relates to as it relates to indigent prison population being denied Medicaid coverage. As I've often said up here, we spend a lot of money on indigent health care over at CCC, as well as juvenile. I want to say that cost is getting about $4 million now, and the parish has to pick that up. And so what we are asking Congress to do is to not exclude individuals who are pre-trial detainees from being able to access those Medicaid dollars. And so that successfully, unanimously moved forward from the parish and county perspective, because that is an unfunded mandate, and those are dollars that can be freed up for some other things that we'd like to deal with. And so we hope that Congress and the President will take action on that in this upcoming year, and we're going to be really sounding the battle drum about those things. Those are two critical funding priorities that I think is very important to Caddo Parish and probably the state of Louisiana, as we're all looking for resources to be effective with. And so that is kind of the gist. I wasn't at the NACO Legislative Summit the longest. I just went to my business meetings, but I did see Caddo Parish being represented throughout the convention. And so I think it was a very successful convention for all those who went up and participated in. Thank you. That concludes my comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Attorney Frazier, will you send that legislation that Commissioner Watts and myself are authoring? That's exactly what Commissioner Jackson just said. I think he probably wants to sponsor that as well.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Commissioner Burrell.
Mr. President, may I have maybe a point of clarification? There was a statement just made about taking Caddo Parish Commission out of the MPC. Can you expound on that?
Actually, I'm going to give Commissioner Hopkins, you spoke a lot about that.
What the bill basically says, it strikes the Caddo Parish Commission out of the current law and leaves the MPC just for the city of Shreveport. So it would take us out of the planning.
Not Caddo Parish, but not Caddo Commission, but Caddo Parish out?
It would take the planning area, basically the planning area that now exists outside the city. It removes that from the MPC, is what it does. Okay. It also removes the money that we currently pay to be part of the MPC. It would also it removes the UDC and their regulations also to the planning area. So it would basically just erase all that. And then we would have to go from that point forward.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Jackson, are you back on?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson.
Attorney Frazier and Ms. Bryant, acting administrator, interim, acting administrator Bryant. If you could, if y'all could research and find out if the bill passes and the governor signs the bill, would we have any right to seek reimbursement of the funds that we have expended in this fiscal year from the MPC, back from the MPC? Also, the equipment that we have provided, could we recoup that as well? And also, could we recoup our costs associated with the UDC that was covered, since it is being divested of? So I think that's going to be more of a legal research, but
it will probably depend on the effective date of the bill. So I'm not sure that those questions could be answered without knowing if the bill first passed and when
right.
the effective date is.
Effective date would be January 1st, 2022. 2022. But I think they've got a vehicle that we've been paying for. And do we pay any part of their retirement contributions or anything like that?
We provide a direct appropriation to the MPC, so they use that towards all their costs, which would include their retirement costs.
So, we've got some legacy costs tied up in there. So, would we divest from that as well, and would we make a claim to to have those dollars back that we put in. I just think it's going to be interesting as we go forward and to make for an interesting conversation. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice President Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. President. Based on the last long-range committee meeting, basically the only difference was that we have resources now that go out and can write citations based on the old code and UDC. So even doing all that, if we have people who can go out and then make these citations, we still gonna have the same problem. So it's not about doing away with this and doing away with that. It's about what they changed within the last few years was having the resources to go out and enforce the laws that are on the books. That came out of the last meeting. If the ones who sat in this meeting heard that, they hired some people that was able to go out and now enforce the laws. In the past, they weren't able to enforce the laws because they didn't have the resources. So if the laws is on the book in the old code and the new code, what difference does it make? It's still, if you got the resources to go out and do the citations, you still gonna get the citation. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President. See no more commissioners.
Do we have any administration response to information requests from commissioners?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Just want to let you know that we did email you all the update on the coronavirus and what the parish is doing to address that issue. Also, Dr. Martha White will appear at your commission meeting on March 16th to give you an update on the state's plans and procedures in relation to the coronavirus.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bryant.
Now we move to President's report.
Everybody, March the 10th, this coming Tuesday at 1800, 6 p.m., we're going to meet the districts, myself, Commissioner Lazarus, Commissioner Atkins, a little bit over there in the Broadmoor area. This is going to be at 288 East Flournoy Lucas. We're going to have another UDC MPC meeting. I know one of the biggest things is we have the HR bill, the Louisiana bill going through from Mr. McCormick. The Caddo Alliance, you guys sent me this. I appreciate that. I want you guys to know that we're working for you. We're not waiting back. We're not seeing what the state's going to do. Obviously, on that front, that's happening as well. But we said we would work for you as well. Mr. Clark's been very, very accommodating. He and I actually meeting this evening after this meeting about more things that have materialized since Mr. Hopkins' meeting. So do know that the commission is hearing you. We're working with you and for you, and we're not going to give up until you guys are happy with what we come up with. So thank you for that. Thank you for your patience. That's all, Miss Nations.
We have no public hearing on zoning ordinances, no public hearing on ordinances, no zoning ordinances for final passage, no ordinances for final passage, no zoning ordinances for introduction by title, so we move to ordinances for introduction by title. Ordinance number 5946 of 2020, an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund to provide an appropriation for the Southern Hills Homeowners Association and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Ordinance number 5947 of 2020, an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund to provide an appropriation to Strategic Action Council of Northwest Louisiana. Ordinance number 5948 of 2020, an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $7,000 to provide an appropriation to Ivy Crown Community Services. Ordinance number 5949 of 2020, an ordinance to deem property surplus and authorize the sale of surplus property owned by the Parish of Caddo. Now we need to ratify the work session minutes from February 18th.
Second. So moved by Commissioner Jackson and second by Commissioner Hopkins. I see no one on the board. Please vote. Passes 9 with 3 out of the chamber.
Now we move to resolutions. Resolution number 15 of 2020, a resolution relative to the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Local Road Safety Program to authorize the parish to participate in the program and to enter into any necessary agreements with Louisiana Department of Transportation.
So move.
Second. So moved by Commissioner Jackson and second by Commissioner Hopkins. Commissioner Jackson, would you like to speak on your motion?
No, Mr. President.
All right. I see no commissioners on the board. Please vote. That passes 9 with 3 out of the chamber.
Okay, now we go to old business, confirm appointment to the Metropolitan Planning Commission to fill the expired term of Mr. Ronnie Remedies, term to expire January 1st, 2026. You have 2 candidates, Ms. Lasagna Moore and Ms. Laura Newbert.
All right, commissioners, how we do the typical vote is we will take the names in alphabetical order. And if you are voting for this person, you press yes. If you are not, you do not press anything and then wait to vote for your person. So we have Miss Lasagna Moore.
Mr. President,
I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, I'm just curious. When we introduced these, did we ever vote? Was there ever a vote on these?
It was moved from work session to regular session, and then during the regular session, I believe it was Commissioner Burrell asked to postpone them.
So we never did take a vote on these? Okay.
Not during the regular
Okay.
session.
All right. That answers my question.
All right, I see no one else on the board. Please vote for Lasagna Moore. I see one. Please vote for Miss Laura Newbert.
1 second, my.
Seven, sir. I show 7. Congratulations, Miss Newbert.
Okay, now we move to new business. Confirm Commissioner Burrell's travel to Birmingham, Alabama regarding high-speed rail.
Commissioner Burrell, would you like to speak on your motion?
I guess I'll say.
Yes, Mr. President. Again, this.
I'll second it.
I'm sorry?
I'm seconding your motion so we can discuss it.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, this is a conference that's in Birmingham dealing with high-speed rail. For many of you that may not know, when I was in the legislature, I sponsored some funding, $250,000 to study passenger rail from Texas to Mississippi. It has been established as a rail route, southern route, and when the study was finished, it showed profitability that we should and could extend passenger rail from Texas, from Dallas, all the way to Meridian, Mississippi. And from Meridian, Mississippi, there's an existing rail line there that will take you to the East Coast and the West Coast from there. Going to the east, you could go as far as New York, and to the east, it'll take you to California. So it is an economic development issue, and it's one that I think that would really, well, not only I think, but many of those who have worked with it think that it would really boost the growth in this area, because you can actually stay in this city, get on the rail. If you had a job in Dallas, you're just not precluded from jobs just because you live here. You could go there and come back in the evening, and you could still stay in Shreveport. So you're talking about having an opportunity to be able to travel, and a lot of our millennials, they don't care to drive anymore. They prefer public transportation, and I think it's in line with that. Also, as a I guess a planner in a previous life, I also looked at, as you know, I've been involved in an I-49 issue, and looking at I-20. The way the traffic is on I-20 right now, they're projecting that we're going to have to expand I-20 between Shreveport and Dallas. So this would be an opportunity there too to relieve I-20 and prolong our interstate. So there's a number of different positive things that goes along with this. So I was invited there. So I was asking you all to support the travel there to get additional information.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Parliamentarian Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. As the president, or pardon me, as the chairman of the Economic Development Committee, I support Commissioner Burrell's travel to Birmingham to participate in this conference. I don't know where we are with high-speed rail, but the whole rail issue along I-20 is an important issue for Caddo Parish, and I think it's important we at least have someone at the table to participate in that discussion. And given Commissioner Burrell's association with this issue at the state, when he was a member of the state legislature, I think he's the best person from our commission to participate in that discussion. So I'd like to encourage my colleagues to support funding his travel to this meeting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Parliamentarian. I too will be supporting Commissioner Burrell. I wanted to give the audience a little backstory on why we're kind of discussing this. The term before this term, the newly elected commissioners opted out of the excessive travel that was accused of putting on the board before us. So one of the new things that we did when we were newly elected was restrict the amount of travel to a set amount of meetings that we thought was productive to the parish and for the commissioners, and we had limits set on us. However, we left it to where if there were specific industrial types or scenarios where one of our subject matter experts, for instance in this case Commissioner Burrell, could go see something else in lieu of one of our meetings or in addition to one of those meetings, that we would appropriate the funds in order to help Caddo Parish excel in certain spectrums. Obviously in high-speed rail, that would be one of those. So that's why this agenda item is before us, that we could vote on sending one of our own to hopefully go over there, see what they have and bring back that new technology and make Caddo Parish a better place. But of course we have to vote to appropriate those funds because it's the taxpayers' money. So that's what we're doing here today in case there was any confusion of what we're actually talking about and what we're doing. But I do support Commissioner Burrell and I'll be voting yes on this. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank Commissioner Burrell for his consistency on this. I think the third or fourth time we met when I was a staff member for Mayor Glover, I was at NLCOG meeting over in Mayor Walker's conference room, and we were discussing the Amtrak. At that time, we did not have a governor who supported the high-speed rail for whatever reason. So hopefully, and I want to say Baton Rouge and New Orleans was about to capitalize on it. And I think we still, eventually the state missed out on a couple $100 million worth of funds that would have come into the state to make that work. Was in DC and then was in Denver, Colorado a couple of months ago, and I saw how their high speed is working. And then over in Dallas, they have the high speed rail that's going. And so to make it more concrete, I think you can, to get rail here, we have to drive to Marshall or Longview. And what we're trying to do is expand that to come through Shreveport to get to Vicksburg or to get to Jackson, Mississippi. And so there's a linkage that is missing. Now, I do understand that they're talking about putting a hub over in Bossier. So hopefully we can get that competitive edge back to put that hub.
Mr. Commissioner?
Right, to put that hub back into Shreveport or in Caddo Parish. And so appreciate you for staying on top of this and look forward to new information to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I also will support Commissioner Burrell from going to this particular meeting. I think back in 2015, 16, we had meetings here about Amtrak coming and connecting that Marshall all the way to Meridian, Mississippi, which will also take it up to the East Coast. So this is a very important hub. One of the reasons why South Louisiana wants the hub is because right now
it goes along the I-10 corridor and then goes up. So this would take it along the I-20 corridor. And the rail is already there. Basically, you'll be utilizing Union Pacific and KCS rail for the rail to go through there. Some of it would have to be upgraded, but right now, the rail is already there. So it's work to be done, but it's not like you have to lay a whole bunch of rail in order to make it commit. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President. Commissioner Burrell.
I just want to speak to that. In terms of upgrading our rail in order for it to happen, it's basically a one-time charge of $80 million, and that's a drop in the bucket for something of this value. And I want to also say that this southern corridor across Louisiana was actually designated by President Lincoln back then. This was designated as the southern corridor, but it was never developed. So we're going back from then to now and just not doing something that they talked about then.
Thank you, Commissioner. I see no other commissioners on the board. Please vote. And that passes unanimously with 3 out of the chamber.
Commission will convene into executive session to discuss litigation regarding case number 620773 in First Judicial Court.
Mr. President, I'd like to move that we move this to the next regular session.
Second. All right. You want to speak on that motion?
Regular session. No, I'm good.
Okay.
I just want to, I won't be here for the next work session, so regular session.
Okay, so next regular session.
Right.
All right, please vote. That passes 9-3. Ms. Nation, you'll notify the commission. Thank you.
Now we go to communiques and committee reports.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, LADOTD administrator as well, if we could get them down to discuss the to discuss 4th Street and to get some more information. I did get the email you sent out about the North Market traffic study, so I did get that, but definitely want to talk about the 4th Street. There's a program that they have where we can go forward with repaving, resurfacing 4th Street, and they will give us a credit, or they will basically reimburse us for go ahead and doing that. So it's a special program that other parishes are taking advantage of. I think the problem is they want us to own it, and it sounds like I don't think we want to own the road, but they may be open to us maintaining the road, because we'll never truly own a state highway. But there were some issues. I know we had started discussing, I was working with Henry, and then we stopped. It kind of just went dormant, but I didn't know if it needed legislation or if we just needed an administrative rule changing within LADOTD. So if we could get them down here, and then the disparity study, if we could get maybe Eric or Attorney Malone or somebody representing what's his name, because I don't know if they issued the RFP or not, but just a status update on where we are.
They will provide us a draft. I talked to Attorney Malone, and they are still working on the draft, but they will provide us a draft before it actually goes out.
Okay. Thank you.
I should
That's
see
it.
him tonight, obviously.
That'll work. Thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner. I wanted to thank Ms. Foneroy, Mr. Brooks, and congratulations to Ms. Newbert. I think you guys are still there. Thank you for submitting your name. The resume was very well received, and having the countless individuals that came and spoke on your behalf shows that you have great character. And I'm really looking forward to you serving on the MPC. I said it before that you had so many friends that it seemed like you would definitely be a person you'd want to be a friend with. So thank you for helping all the citizens. You've been doing it long before you wanted to step into the municipality arena. You've just been doing it out of the kindness of your heart, and we need more citizens like that. So thank you for serving as a citizen and soon to be as a official. So thank you. Thank you. I see no other commissioners. Thank you, guys. I see no other commissioners on the board.
Citizens' comments, late arrivals.
I have none.
Move to adjourn.
Second. Meeting adjourned.